So our topic today is devotion. I love this topic. Those of you that have heard me speak to it before know that I love this topic. So one of the first things that I find really interesting about this topic is that devotion doesn't get applied to other humans. It's reserved for deities, archetypes, religion, spirituality. But if all of us humans are spiritual beings and have access to that, then that devotion should well be applied not only to ourselves, but to others. And given that our culture has had these reserves or reservations around the offering of devotion, it's an interesting topic to explore. Is like, how do we bring devotion into an intimate relationship? How do we bring that through a human body, a human being, and gift it to another? And devotion in so many ways is the missing element to most relationships. That deep love, that reverence that we intuit is possible, that we always feel or seems to be missing in intimate relationship, can only emerge through devotion. I looked devotion up on the computer to see what it means one day, and the very first thing it said was love. And devotion is literally the act of loving another human being, treating them with that reverence, that beauty, that richness, to love them in that way. And it's like, how could we create a deep, intimate, loving relationship without that? It feels impossible. And I know for me, I haven't seen the type of relationship I've ever wanted modeled in the world. We see so much in television, movies, books, and it's often beautiful and romantic, but they walk off into the sunset. And I think that's pretty much because nobody knows what happens after that or how to navigate it. And so we want to help you to navigate that here. But devotion doesn't have to be a mystery. In fact, it can be incredibly simple acts or gifts of kindness or love. Even at the start of this call, I noticed that Martina was warm. She was like perspiring. So there was that sense of like, how can I love my woman in this moment? Oh, she needs the fan on. Boom, turn the fan on. That's a gift of devotion. It's an act of love in that moment of, what can I do to love this woman beside me right now? How can I make her feel more loved? One of the things I noticed many years ago when I was in one of those relationships that break up, get back together, break up, get back together. I don't know if you guys have ever had one of those, but I've had one of those. And I remember sitting in the bottom of the shower, like bawling my eyes out, crying. And I had this really strange realization. All the things I was bawling and crying about, the things that were hurting so much, the things I was remembering that went through my mind, were all the ways that I loved her, what I did, how I showed up, the things I did, and how I would miss that. And what that pointed my attention to is that so much of the experience of love is through the giving. I don't know about for you, but I know for me that I experience so much love in the giving of love. And if I'm always out there in the world trying to receive love, there's that sense of take. There's nothing about that feels particularly loving, and it certainly doesn't feel inspirational. But in the act of giving love to another, if I experience love then, but that giving of love does something very, very specific in another person's body. It inspires them. They feel loved. And I don't know about for you, but I know for me that when I feel loved by another, all I want to do is shower that person with more love. And so when we have two people loving through devotion in intimate relationship, all of a sudden we have this flow, kind of like that infinity symbol. There's no restriction or limitation to the amount of love that I want to give through my body. It's like an unlimited resource or pool out there that just wants to flow through. And I just want to offer that. I want to shower her in that. And when that happens and that inspires devotion through her, now we have this beautiful flow of love within the intimacy and the relationship. Conflicts, challenges, they all start to change flavor, because if my partner's hurting, it's like, oh, something I'm doing, some way I'm being is hurting her right now. I don't want to do that. I want to gift her love, not challenge and compromise or limitation. And so that brings forward my curiosity about her experience rather than my need to defend my actions. It's like, oh, how can I be that you would experience more love, instead of how can I be right? And so can you feel the difference between that, the curiosity of how can I bring more love rather than how can I make myself right? Because in the making of myself right, I'll make her wrong. And now there's distance between the two of us. That's the opposite of intimacy. Intimacy, as we define it, is the felt experience of the space between the both of us, and in specifically how close we feel within that space. Anything that creates division or separation is an act of unlove. And so for us, how we approach our intimate relationship is what is going to magnify the experience of love and the felt experience of that intimacy between us. And devotion, by far, has been the missing piece. And it's been the one piece that's created the most love, connection, and intimacy between the two of us.